Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 9th Indian Economic and Social History Association lecture. We are very grateful to Sage, who've been with us every step of the way. Apart from publishing our journal, they also make all the arrangements for the lectures to see that you are well fed, well watered, and after the talk is over, they also host the dinner. So we thank Sage for this glorious association that we've had with them over so many years. Before we begin, I'd just like to say that to all of you who are here, and we've had this lecture now for the last 9 years, in the 3rd week of December every year. So for those of you who are busy penciling in your social calendars, remember the 3rd week of December is sacrosanct. The IESHR Lecture is held here. The lectures were instituted in 2007 as the editors realized that the Indian Economic and Social History Review, which was founded in 1962, had become successful enough to have excess revenue. This is always gratifying for an academic journal. And we decided that it would be a good idea to invite distinguished historians not working on South Asia, but whose work had influence beyond their specializations. The first lecture, some of you were here at the first lecture. The first lecture was delivered by Carlo Ginzburg, the next one by James Scott. And over the years, we've had Linda Colley, Michael Cook, Mark Mazawa, the late Benedict Anderson, and Wang Hui, one of China's foremost intellectual historians and social theorists. The 9th lecture in the series is being delivered by Catherine Hall, who is the Professor of Modern British Social and Cultural History, that's a mouthful, at University College London. When E.P. Thompson dedicated his book Whigs and Hunters to Christopher Hill, he said that Christopher Hill was master of much more than an old Oxford college. Similarly, this bare description of Catherine Hall as a professor of such and such is insufficient to describe the range and influence of her work, which is at the intersection of empire, race, feminism, Marxism, and transnational history.
Well, thank you very much, Dilip, for that introduction, and I'd like to thank Sunil Kumar and the Board of Indian Economic and Social History Review for the invitation to be here tonight and to honour me in this way and give me the opportunity to present some of the work that I've been doing. It's a great pleasure to have the opportunity to talk with historians and other scholars of India. And I hope that the thoughts that I bring from working on Britain and the Caribbean will have some relevance for you today. Capital, wrote Marx, is not a thing, but a social relation between persons established through the instrumentality of things. And he added in a footnote, a Negro is a Negro. In certain circumstances, he becomes a slave. Capital is a social relation of production. In this lecture, I want to revisit the issue of the relation between slavery and freedom, drawing on the work of the great 18th century historian of Jamaica, Edward Long, and reflecting on the implications of the attempt to transform people into commodities, things. Who counts as men? Whose lives matter? Since 2009, I have been working on the Legacies of British Slave-ownership project, which Dilip has mentioned, at UCL. From the moment of the abolition of the slave trade in 1807, and then of slavery in 1833, the work of forgetting the slavery business and the wealth it engendered went on apace. Britons enjoyed congratulating themselves collectively on their magnificent gestures in ending the trade and then slavery, their gift, as they saw it, of liberty to others. What got erased was 2 centuries of intimate involvement in the whole slavery business by slave owners, merchants, investors, shippers, sugar refiners, makers of fetters and chains, and all the multiple traders associated with a business that supported thousands. Abolitionists were proud of what they had done and keen to celebrate it. Their hero, the immortal William Wilberforce. He continues to dominate British memories. The forgetting of slavery part of the wider disavowal of race as a key marker of power and inequality, and the Caribbean as an integral part of Britain's history, has fueled a determination to put it back into British and imperial history, and has been the motivating force behind the Legacies of British Slave-ownership project. The past, we believe, is not past, but lives on in the present. Slavery may have been forgotten, but it is not gone. The first phase of our project used the compensation records as a lens through which to bring slavery back to the heartlands of the metropolis, to demonstrate that this history belongs to Britain. £20 million was paid to the slave owners at the time of abolition in order to secure their agreement to the loss of, quotes, their property. Of the 47,000 plus claimants for this £20 million, about 3,500 lived in Britain. These were the so-called absentees, who between them received nearly half the 20 million. All these men and women are documented in our database, and this is the homepage of our database.